Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter, text number 27 and 28. 27 doesn't have the purport, I will read myself. Dvejanoni sutalam vishwamurter ऊरुद्वयं वितलं च तलं च महीतलं तज्जगनं महीपते नभस्थलं नाभिशरो गृह्णन्ति. Translation. The knees of the universal form are the planetary system of the name Sutala, and the two thighs are the Vithala and Athala planetary systems. The hips are Mahitala, and outer space is the depression of his navel. Text number 28. Please repeat. Urasthalam jyotirανikamasya Griva maharvadanam vaijanosya Tapovaratim viduradipunsaha Satyam tu sirshani sahasra sirshnaha. Translation purport by Arjuna Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The chest of the original personality of the gigantic form is the luminary planetary system. His neck is the Mahar planets, his mouth is the Jana planets, and his forehead is the Tapas planetary system. The topmost planetary system, known as Satyaloka, is the head of he who has 1,000 heads. Purport. The effulgent luminary planets like the sun and the moon are situated almost in the mid place of the universe, and as such they are known as the chest of the original gigantic form of the Lord. And above the luminary planets, called also the heavenly places of the universal directorate demigods, are the Mahar, Janas and Tapas planetary systems, and above all the Satya planetary system, the Satyaloka planetary system, where the chief directors of the modes of the material nature reside, namely Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. This Vishnu is known as the Kshirodakasai Vishnu, and he acts as a super soul in every living being. There are innumerable universes floating on the causal ocean, and in each of them the representation of the Virat form of the Lord is there, along with innumerable suns, moons, heavenly demigods, Brahmas, Vishnus and Shivas, all of them situated in one part of the inconceivable potency of Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter, text number 42. So we are continuing the discussion about universal form of the Supreme Lord. The contest here is set up by Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is asking, he has put a question to Sukadeva Goswami in the beginning, saying that, basically, in the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj has asked Sukadeva Goswami, what is the duty of a person who is about to die? And then Sukadeva Goswami has replied that one should meditate upon the Supreme Lord. This is the best course of duty. Now, Parikshit Maharaj is breaking that into finite forms. How do we meditate? When should we meditate? On what form should we meditate? Or is there a form or no form? So, Sukadeva Goswami has replied, or Parikshit Maharaj has asked a particular question. O Brahmana, please describe how and where the mind has to be fixed. See, because to become a yogi, to achieve perfection, it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, one has to become a yogi. To become a yogi, one has to fix his concentration or mind. So, Parikshit Maharaj is asking at the beginning of this chapter that please describe how and where one has to fix his mind. Because we know in this world, fixing the mind or one object or one topic or one activity is very difficult, because we have so many activities to perform, so many goals to achieve. So how can we fix on only one thing until and unless he is renounced? He has given up all the other tasks and only one task he takes up. So the answer to this, from the beginning of this chapter, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that, O king, at the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death. There should not be any fear of death. One should be fearless at the moment where one faces death. But how can one overcome the fear of death? That is because, you develop fear of death only when you think of death. Basically, at the point of death, you are going to lose something. That's the reason why we fear, right? What is fear? Fear of loss. You feel that I own something and I am going to lose it. That's where fear develops. But Sukadeva Goswami is saying here that one should not be afraid of death, or one should become fearless at the moment of death. How is that possible? That is possible only when one cuts off the attachment to the material body and everything that is pertaining to this material body, and also the desires that we have got in our consciousness or in our mind pertaining to this material body. So our attachment has to be cut off, everything, all the relations have to be cut off, and all the desires also have to be cut off. But unfortunately, every one of us know that it is not practical, or otherwise, in simple terms we can say, I myself cannot do it. Because we have so many relations, we have developed so many responsibilities, lot of attachment is there in our heart, and endless desires are already occupied our mind. So it is not easy by our own strength or by our own ability to detach from all of those things. Therefore, in the next verse, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that you should develop or you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after the another. Meditate. Okay, let us say we go to the main temple. Radha Krishna is there. Have beautiful darshan of the Lord. Once you stand in front of the Lord, somebody will come and say, please move. Does it happen only at this place? No, this is common everywhere. So how do you meditate? How do you develop attachment? So Srila Prabhupada is saying that many people say that, or some sects or some groups say that there is no need to have a temple, worship the Lord. But Srila Prabhupada is explaining, just like Sukadeva Goswami has just now said, one has to meditate on the limbs of Vishnu. How do you meditate on the limbs of a Vishnu? When we know what is the form of a Vishnu. Knowing is one-time activity, but we know that we will not be able to remember. So which means again and again we should hear, but more importantly, more than hearing, if we witness, if we see the form of the Lord, that form gets imprinted in our consciousness. So more and more we should have darshan of the Lord. To have more and more darshan of the Lord, it is feasible only when we have temples. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that in Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the purport, the arrangements of the ideal worship as they are wrongly interpreted to be a class of men with poor fund of knowledge, that we have such a great temples, grandeur temples, and Lord is worshipped in a very grand manner, is all useless or waste of money. Why are you spending so much of money on this temple worship? So these such kind of comments will come only from people who have poor fund of knowledge. Rather, there are different spiritual centers. These temples are the spiritual centers for meditation, to have direct darshan of the Lord. When we come to temple, when we see the form of the Lord, then we develop faith in both Guru and Krishna. We develop faith on Guru, on his words and instructions, and we develop faith on Krishna by directly having darshan of the Lord. And then, as Parikshit Maharaj has mentioned, we can continue our meditation on the limbs of Vishnu. But if you look at the current verse, all that Srila Prabhupada said, all that Sukadeva Goswami said, fine, we should continue our meditation on the limbs of the Lord, and they should go to the temple and have darshan of the Lord. But the current context here is, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining the universal form of the Lord. So where does this universal form fit in the subject of meditating on the limbs of the Lord? So it is said here, the knees are the place where Sutala planets are there, two thighs where Vitala and Atala planets are there, and the hips are the where Mahitala planets are there. And then coming above, the chest is the place where the luminary planets, that is the sun and the moon, are existing, and the neck is the Mahar planets, and mouth is the Jana planet, and his forehead is the Tapa planet, and the topmost is Satya planet, that is where Lord's head is there, and Lord has thousands of heads. So basically, Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining how the world or the universe that we live in is spread across. There are 14 planetary systems. We are in the middle planetary systems. Above us, there are higher planetary systems. Below us, there are lower planetary systems. This is how the Shastras explain 3 planetary systems: middle, higher, and below. And this planetary system is nothing but the expansion of the Lord Vishnu. So, how do we meditate on the universal form? It is very, very difficult. We cannot meditate on this universal form. That is why Prabhupada did not advise us to meditate on the universal form. Prabhupada advised us only to meditate on that form of the Shyama Sundara, two-handed Shyama Sundara form. Even in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna showed the universal form to Arjuna on his request by giving the transcendental vision, after seeing the universal form, Arjuna again said, I wish to see your four-handed form, and then finally two-handed Shyama Sundara form. Which means we cannot meditate, but still Lord showed his universal form in the Bhagavad Gita. And here, again, while explaining Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj that you should meditate on the different limbs of Vishnu, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining the universal form of the Lord. If our goal is to meditate on Vishnu, meditate on Krishna, develop attachment, then why should we know about the universal form of the Lord? Because it is very difficult for us to perceive. How can we understand There are higher planetary systems. First of all, in this planet, one single planet itself, it is so difficult for us to understand. So, in the purports of the next further verses, in the same chapter, Prabhupada is explaining like this. Why this vision of a universal form is required for us to understand. Or hear. If not understand, at least once we should hear and see what is the capacity of Krishna. First thing is, who is Krishna? After having understood that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is his greatness? So in the Vishnu Purana it is said, there are 6 major opulences that one can categorize. And Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna or Vishnu, possesses all of these 6 opulences in full. Not as a portion, but he possesses in full. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashas shriyaha jnana vairagyyoscheva shannam bhaga itingana. Shannam, there are 6 opulences. In the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, Krishna has explained various opulences. But these 6 opulences are major categories. Aishwarya, wealth. Every one of us are attracted to other. Let us say when somebody is going to get married, you are trying to search for a partner. What do you search for? Do they have wealth? If they don't have wealth, they are not attractive. So wealth is attractive. And then strength. Are they powerful? And then fame. How much fame do they have? Somebody is having more fame, he is more attractive. And then beauty. Beauty is also very, very attractive. See, these things you need not ask anybody. By just witnessing, you can find it out by yourself. How much powerful they are, how much beautiful they are, how much wealth they have. Because nobody wants to hide these things, right? We want to more show off, even if you don't possess this. So, these opulences are so attractive that everybody is after this. Knowledge and finally the renunciation. Knowledge, you may not be able to grasp it until unless somebody opens their mouth. And renunciation is very, very difficult. But Shastra or Vishnu Purana is saying that Krishna is the one who possesses all of these opulences in full. So when we are talking about opulences, there is one particular instance in Srimad Bhagavatam where Devahuti is understanding from Kapila what is devotional service, what is the position of the Supreme Lord. And in one instance, Kapila Deva explains like this to Mother Devahuti, I have explained you different, my position or my opulences or my situation, and my devotees worship or meditate upon me and they are attached to my lotus feet. At the same time, Lord Kapila explains like this, how the world is running. You see, many of you are working in some company or running a company in departments. So we go to work because we have a certain fear. If you don't work, then there is no income. If there is no income, then we cannot run the household chores. It is difficult even for the basic needs of the life. So we have to go to work, which means there is some fear. But if you look at this universal affairs, every day sun is rising, every day sun is setting. Periodically seasons are coming in, rain is coming, crop is growing. If you stop looking at, the micro things, but if you start looking at the macro size, then you see things are happening very periodically, which means somebody is running, just like we experience in a huge machines. There is an operator, that is how a machine is running. This is what Prabhupada has explained us. Our wanted all of us to develop this kind of a vision. How much ever bigger the machine might be, but it requires a spirit, a touch of a spirit. So the machine is running because of the operator. So this material nature or this creation is also running because there is somebody who is running behind it. There is a superior intelligence. There is a superior soul. The same thing Kapila Deva is explaining to his mother Devahuti. Madbhayat vati vatoyam surya sthapati madbhayat varshati indriya dahati agnir mrityus charati madbhayat. Madbhayat, because of fear of me. Surya sthapati madbhayat vati vatoyam. Wind is blowing because of fear of me. Surya sthapati madbhayat. Surya, the sun, is illuminating, or it is giving light and heat because of fear of me. Varshata indraha. Indra is sending forth rains because of fear of me. Dahati agnir. Fire will burn anything and everything. It is burning because of fear of me. Mrityus charati madbhayat. Death is taking over the toll because of fear of me. So, when an acharya or a spiritual master is explaining us to develop attachment, first thing is, before develop attachment, we have to develop little fear of God. Yes or no? Without fear of God, we may even question, who is God? Where is God? Have you seen God? Can you show me God? So that is why first we should have little fear of God. Just like every day we go to office, because we have a fear. To meet our daily necessities, we need income. Money is required. For that, we have to work. So this fear of God, because God is running the entire thing, this material creation, as explained Lord Kapila, is running because of the fear of God, and our existence also, Krishna is supplying everything to us. We should develop love, devotion towards Krishna, for He is the one who is giving us everything. To develop that love, before that, first we should have fear of God. Without fear of God, it is difficult for us to perceive, because we have not seen God. We have only seen the form of the Lord in wooden form, or the metal form, or the stone form in the temples. We have heard only from realized souls, but personally we have not seen. So it is important for us to have little develop fear of God. So this cosmic manifestation of the Lord, Srila Prabhupada is explaining, it is nothing but when you club different unlimited potencies of the Lord, you can see unlimited potencies of the Lord in this universal form. That is what Arjuna saw. Thousands of forms, thousands of heads, thousands of weapons, arms. And then he was bewildered, he was perturbed, he was disturbed. That is when Arjuna requested back, Krishna, please wind up your this universal form and show me your Shyama Sundara form. So, while Bhagavatam is explaining all this, how this material creation has manifested and it is existing in the form of the Lord, at the same time, this is all basically to develop fear. Krishna is supreme. And then, when we have darshan of the Lord in this two-handed Shyama Sundara form, then we should learn to develop attachment, love, devotion. Here, fear is not required, because you have crossed the stage of developing fear. Only in the universal form, and Srila Prabhupada is saying very clearly that It is the impersonal form of the Lord. It is not a permanent form of the Lord. When we are trying to develop attachment, our attachment should be towards a permanent form. That is what we wanted, right? When we go and you have got some money, you have to deposit, fixed deposit you want to do. Then you will go and search which bank is more stable, so that if let us say for 20 years or 25 years I want to deposit, I want to make sure which is that bank which has run or existed for longer period, not just that 1 year back the bank has opened and you are going to deposit your whatever entire earning you have made into that new bank. Generally nobody does, because we don't know, it has just opened recently, we are not sure. We want to be sure while doing a long term investment. So bhakti is a long term investment. Why should you invest on something which is temporary? This is what Prabhupada is explaining us. The universal form is an impersonal form. It is not permanent. It is a temporary form. Even though it is one of the potency of the Lord, manifested potency of the Lord, but it is temporary. Our meditation as devotees of Lord Krishna, our meditation should be on the permanent form of the Lord. That is Shyama Sundara form of the Lord. That is why when our acharyas, in our sampradaya, Gauda Vaishnava sampradaya, when our acharyas have established temples, nowhere they have established a temple where we are worshipping the universal form of the Lord. Nowhere it is done like that. Everywhere Krishna, the Murti of the form of the Krishna, the deity of Krishna, is always Shyama Sundar, two-handed form of the Lord. That is because they wanted all of us to develop attachment to this Shyama Sundara form of the Lord. Then further in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada is explaining like this when Arjuna has asked Krishna, can I see your universal form? Actually, Srila Prabhupada says there is no requirement for Arjuna to see the universal form of the Lord, because Arjuna has understood the position of Krishna. The potencies of Krishna, Arjuna has understood. There is no necessity for him to witness the universal form. In the same way, in the previous verses, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining Maharaj Parikshit is directly connected with the personal feature of the Lord right from his birth. Not outside when he was born, even when he was in womb of his mother, he is attached to the personal form of the Lord, personal features of the Lord. There is no necessity for him to again inquire about the impersonal Virat Rupa of the Lord from Sukadeva Goswami. There is no necessity for him at all. When Arjuna is asking Krishna to show the universal form, or when Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring from Sukadeva Goswami, explain about the potencies of the Lord or the Virat Rupa of the Lord, it is for our benefit. This is the proof that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. As it is said, when we wish to be devoted to serve somebody, why should we serve someone who is not ultimate or who is not superior? Why should we serve some intermediate people? Let us serve the ultimate, the supreme, the absolute truth. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna showed the universal form to Arjuna to establish the fact that he is the supreme. Again in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj how the 14 planetary systems or the Virat Rupa is a manifestation of Lord Krishna himself, his expansion, so that we understand and be attached to Krishna and not to any other forms. if you have been doing so. So basically, from the Bhagavad Gita and from Srimad Bhagavatam and from the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, one point that is being stressed here is develop your attachment or devotion to Lord Krishna only and not to any other. And further, in this particular chapter, whatever Sukadeva Goswami is trying to explain or make us understand is that Lord is not limited. Because our material mind is limited. When we try to hear these kind of descriptions, we think of, maybe here this much is Lord Krishna, or this much is Vishnu, this much is his potency to expand. No, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining, Lord is unlimited, his potencies are unlimited. It is our ability, limited human ability, that we are unable to understand or perceive the potencies of the Lord. Everything rests in him, and yet he is separate from it. So everything rests in him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Krishna, after he has created this, or the material universe has come into existence, after this Krishna entered into the universe as a super soul. Only after he entered into the universe as a super soul, life started existing within this universe. Till that time, life did not come into existence. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining that whatever we are seeing, whatever we are hearing, whatever we could sense, these abilities are coming because Lord, he says that one cannot see anything without the Lord having first seen it. The Paramatma within our heart first sees it, or first hears it, or first senses it. From there, Krishna gives that understanding to our senses. Only then we can see, we can hear, or we can understand. Which means we are so much dependent upon the super soul. It is very difficult to perceive this, to understand this, because we are not in that level of realization. We would have heard it multiple times, but we have not realized that we are so much dependent upon the super soul, even to see, to hear, to understand, his intervention is required. Without his intervention, this body cannot function. And also, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the further purports in this same chapter, as we try to concentrate on the bodily parts of the Lord, we gradually, what happens is the effect, what is the result of that? Gradually, the demoniac challenge within our heart. See, every one of us have got a doubt, certain doubts, because Rajoguna, Tamoguna, influence is there within us. So due to the influence of the Tamoguna, we tend to doubt. Even when we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra also. When I am chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is Krishna, is my prayer reaching to Krishna? Is Krishna reciprocating with me? If we eat, when somebody has given us Mahaprasadam, is this prasadam going to purify my consciousness? When we read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, is everything that I am reading, is it true? Because Prabhupada told everybody is doing, I am also doing. But that certain bit of doubts will be there. Some kind of challenges internally mind will be posing challenges. Why do you need to do? Why are you spending so much of time? Or maybe you have some important task. Why should you leave all this task and go to ISKCON and have darshan? Where is the necessity for all of this? How sure are you that you are progressing in spiritual life? So when mind poses all these questions, Srila Prabhupada is saying, by concentrating on the bodily parts of the Lord, this will gradually diminish the demoniac challenge of godlessness within us. And we will develop or bring about gradual attachment towards the devotional service of the Lord. Which means hearing about potencies of the Lord, glories of the Lord is very, very essential for every one of us. We might have heard that we are so much dependent upon others, including Krishna, but we should come to the stage of realizing how much we are dependent. For that reason, Srila Prabhupada is saying, we should meditate on the bodily parts of the Lord. To meditate on the bodily parts of the Lord means what? How do we meditate? Can you stand in front of the Lord in the main temple hall for one full day? It is not possible. Nobody will allow you to stand there. Even a pujari is not allowed to stand there because he will be given so many services. He has to continue with his services. Even he cannot stand. Who is allocated service is to take care of the deity. Even he cannot stand, then how can we stand? It is impractical. So what is finally Prabhupada trying to explain by concentrating on the bodily part of the Lord? That is basically we have to hear more about the glories of the Lord and then we have to meditate on that. And while coming to the meditation on the bodily parts of the Lord, yes, everywhere it is written that we should meditate on the bodily parts of the Lord. But at the same time, everywhere it is also mentioned that one should start meditation from the lotus feet of the Lord, not from any other part of the Lord. It is always recommended to meditate more on the lotus feet of the Lord, not on the other bodily parts of the Lord. Again, coming back to the instruction, the exchange between Devahuti and Lord Kapila, where Lord Kapila is Lord himself, personally, the Supreme Lord, explaining how one should practice devotional service to Mother Devahuti. In one of the context, Devahuti is praying to Lord Kapila in this way. Tam tvagataham sharanam sharanyam Swabhitya samsara taroh putaram. Sharanam Sharanyam. I take shelter of you because you are worth taking shelter. You may take shelter of so many people or so many objects or maybe organizations, institutes, but Devahuti is explaining here to us that you should take shelter of this Supreme Lord because He is the only person who is worth taking shelter of. And how should you take shelter? I have taken shelter of your lotus feet. Devahuti is saying, I have taken shelter of your lotus feet because you are the only person and also because you are the axe which can cut the tree of the material existence. That is where we started the discussion that we have a lot of problems in our life, but to come out of the problems, to solve the difficulties, the challenges in our life, it is not possible by our own effort. Same thing Devahuti is also explaining. that you or the mercy of the Lord Krishna comes in the form of an axe which cuts the material bondage, the tree of material existence, or the knot, the material bondage. So we cannot get rid or come out of this material attachment by ourselves. We have to depend on mercy of Guru and Krishna. And it is more beautifully explained in 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Why we should meditate or why should develop attachment to Krishna? So, at one instance, Durvasa Muni, King Indra visits, or he was going by, and then Durvasa Muni comes there. He offers a garland to Indra. So Indra takes it, accepts it, and after he accepted it, he gave it to his elephant. And the elephant, it took by its trunk, and then after that it threw the garland and then stamped on it. So Durvasa Muni is not a quiet person. He is very angry. So when he saw that his offering has been trampled by an elephant, immediately he got angry. And he cursed Indra that you will use your power and position. Because of power and position only, right? He didn't give that much value to the garland or the gift that has come from others. So this affected the Devatas, and then they basically what is happening is, it is very quite common. Competition is existing everywhere within this world. Somebody is highly competent, somebody is lower, but the competition, you try to improve your skill set, knowledge, or build up your team, a better team, so that you become more competent. So in the same way, just like Devatas are existing, demons are also existing. So everybody is trying to improve their strength. Who is better? Because as we learned from the present verses that the higher planetary systems are occupied by the people who are pious in nature, and lower planetary systems are occupied by the people who are impious in nature. Swargaloka is higher, Tapoloka is higher, Maharloka, Satyaloka, everything is higher. Brahma, that is highest. Below, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala Loka. Patala means we know. That is where punishment is given to the impious people. So, the demons are also trying to gain more strength. So, when Durvasa cursed Indra, immediately the Devatas lost their power and demons became more powerful. So, because of that reason, Indra, the Devatas, everybody, when you are in problem, you run to seek solution from people who can give you better advice. So they went to Brahma, and then all of them went to Vishnu. What is the solution? And then Vishnu has given a suggestion. You have to do Samudra Mantana. When you do Samudra Mantana, nectar will come out of it, and you take that nectar. That will bring about immortality. You become powerful. By some reason, you have lost your power. Now, you attain that power by drinking the nectar. But the difficulty in Samudra Mantana is Devatas alone cannot do it. They don't have the sufficient strength. So Vishnu has advised, you make friendship with demons, and then both of you together you churn the ocean of milk. It is not possible to by one party to accomplish it. So then Devatas goes to the demons they made friendship, so-called friendship, and then they make an alliance. Let us do Samudra Mantana. Now demons are ready because they also want nectar. They also want more strength. By drinking nectar, what happens is you get eternal, so-called eternal power, strength, so that you occupy the higher planetary systems. You rule over this world or this universe. So both of them have together combined, did the Samudra Mantana. So many elements came. Before the nectar has arrived, goddess of fortune, Mahalakshmi, came from the ocean. So when Mahalakshmi came out, then everybody, looking at the beauty of Mahalakshmi, everybody wants to possess. Now, is it that only demons are trying, or only devatas are trying? Are we not trying? There is no Samudra Mantana here, nothing is there, but still we want Lakshmi. So everybody from that time till today, everybody is trying to have Mahalakshmi, at least in our home. We want to welcome Mahalakshmi. Recently Akshaya Tritiya has happened. What is the Akshaya Tritiya all about? Call Mahalakshmi. This is what is Akshaya Tritiya all about. At least as per the material understanding. So when the goddess of fortune Mahalakshmi emanated from the ocean, so then now the question is, who will own Mahalakshmi, or otherwise whom does the Mahalakshmi select? Because she came in the female form, so she has to be associated with a Purusha, the male form. That is the understanding. So everybody was lined up without an exception. Everybody is lined up. So Srimad Bhagavatam is saying like this: the goddess of fortune examining the assembly throughout in this way, someone who has undergone great austerity. There are sages who have undergone great austerity, not ordinary people who are in the Tapaloka, who have undergone great austerity, but who has not yet conquered anger. This is what Srila Prabhupada explains to us, that just by doing tapas, by taking up austerity, it is not necessary, or you may not, the result may not be that you will conquer anger, lust, greed. You may become a great tapasvi, that is possible, but you will not be able to conquer the influence of the material modes, which come out in our life as anger, greed, lust. And someone possesses great knowledge, but he has not yet conquered material desires. You might have read all the Vedas, Shastras, everything, great knowledge is there, but what about your desires? Material desires are not gone. Still the material desires are continuing. In fact, one of the reasons why somebody acquires so much of knowledge is because he is having a desire to become a most intelligent person. I should possess all the knowledge. That knowledge brings about fame. I should become more famous. Someone who is a very great personality but who has not conquered the lusty desires. If somebody is more famous or a great personality, that much lust will be more. It is very, very difficult to give away lust. So Mahalakshmi is seeing in all these personalities, so many issues are there, so many problems are there. They have not come out of the influence of the three modes. Even a great personality is dependent upon something else. If that is not there, then his greatness is not there. He cannot show off his greatness. Just like Arjuna said at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, I will not wage this war because the opposite party is my own family members, the enemies. If I kill all of them, I become victorious. But to whom do I show the victory? Who is there to show my victory? To say that I am victorious, who is there? Everybody is dead. So even a great personality depends upon something. And someone may possess full knowledge of religion. Forget about the material knowledge. Let us talk about the knowledge of the religion. But they are not kind to all living entities. They are also partial. They may possess dharma. The intricacies of dharma they may know, but they cannot be equal. Samadrishti they cannot have. Someone, whether human or demigod, may be a renunciant, but renunciation cannot give liberation. You may become a great renunciant, but simple renunciation cannot give liberation. It cannot bring about mukti. When it cannot bring about mukti of your own self, how can you give or assure promise to somebody else? Somebody may be very great, powerful. By his command, just like America, throwing away so many bombs. But one cannot check the power of eternal time. Kala is more powerful than the power what we possess. Someone else has renounced attachment to the material world, but his detachment cannot be compared to the detachment of the Supreme Lord. So that is, after looking at all of them, finally she selected or accepted Mukunda as her husband, because Srimad Bhagavatam says why Mahalakshmi accepted Mukunda as her husband is because Naja Eka Ashrayataya. He is the real shelter for, or he is the only shelter, or he is the real shelter. That is the same thing which Devahuti is explaining or praying to Lord Kapila. I take shelter of your lotus feet because you are the only person of whom I can take shelter. It is not that he is the son. Devahuti came to know that, oh, my son is so powerful, so knowledgeable, so I am taking shelter of him. No. Devahuti is taking shelter of Lord Kapila because he is the only person to whom anybody can take shelter. Mahalakshmi has selected Vishnu or Krishna because Nija Eka Ashrayataya. He is the only person whom we can take shelter of. So, the present context, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj how Lord is expanded himself into this cosmic material manifestation, how the different planetary systems are situated. Finally, he is trying to establish within our minds the potency of Lord Krishna, and after having understood that he is so potent, even though we cannot see how this world is manifested, how it is running, we cannot see the higher planet systems, we cannot see the lower planet systems, we can only hear and try to appreciate, that much only we can do. But even by that much, our attachment to Krishna should develop proportionately. So basically, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining to all of us, don't develop attachment to anything else. Don't get surrendered to anybody else. Divert all your attachment only to the lotus feet of Krishna. Be devoted to Krishna. So this is the conclusion we get to hear from the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So with this, we'll close here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki.